Entonces, si no aprende nada el día de hoy, apréndase esto. La gran historia, toda la Biblia, desde Génesis hasta Apocalipsis, realmente relatan una sola historia. La historia de la redención, de la restitución, de la relación entre Dios y el hombre. La obra de Dios para redimir para sí un pueblo, para su propia posesión, que algún día habitará en un paraíso restaurado, porque se acuerdan que al inicio era perfecto, pero entró el pecado, ¿verdad? Y hoy les voy a leer a los niños de esto aquí. La Biblia es la historia de Dios reconciliando a un pueblo y todo el universo consigo mismo. A ver, repítanlo conmigo. La Biblia es la historia de Dios reconciliando a un pueblo y todo el universo consigo mismo. Entonces Dios tiene un solo propósito: de reconciliar, restaurar al ser humano y a la creación. Nos dice por ahí, segunda de Crónicas, creo, 7:14, si no me equivoco, algo que si su pueblo se humillare, buscare su rostro, ¿y cómo dice? Se volvieren o se arrepintieren de sus malos caminos. Íbamos corriendo hacia el pecado y nos arrepintiéramos, nos diéramos 180 grados de vuelta y buscaremos su rostro. ¿Qué iba a hacer Él? ¿Cuál es la promesa? Nos va a escuchar, pero va más allá. Sanaré, que también es la clave ahí, que restauraré, arreglaré, corregiré. Pero bueno, vamos a hablar más tardecito de eso. ¿Listos, niños? Are y'all ready? A ver, ¿quién falta? Jimena, véngase. This one is called The Terrible, Terrible Lie. From Adam and Eve losing everything, from Genesis 3. Adam and Eve lived happily together in their beautiful new home. And everything was perfect. How was everything? Everything was perfect. For a while. Until the day when everything went wrong. God had a horrible enemy. His name was Satan. What was his name? Satan. His name was Satan. Satan had once been the most beautiful angel. He wanted to be God. He grew proud and evil and full of hate, and God had to send him out of heaven. What did God have to do? Send him out of heaven. Satan was seething with anger and looking for a way to hurt God. He wanted to stop God's plan. Stop this love story right there. So he disguised himself as a snake. What did Satan disguise himself as? A snake. So he disguised himself as a snake and waited in the garden. Now God had given Adam and Eve only one rule. Don't eat of the fruit of that tree. What was the rule? Don't eat of the fruit of that tree. God told them. Because if you do, this is what he said. Don't eat of the fruit of that tree. God told them. Because if you do, you'll think you know everything. You'll stop trusting me. And then death and sadness and tears will come. What was going to come? Sadness, death, and tears. Did everybody see the picture? Yeah? Yes? Okay. You see, God knew if they ate the fruit, they would think they didn't need God. And they would try to make themselves happy without him. But God knew there was no such thing as happiness without him. And life without him wouldn't be life after all. As soon as the snake saw his chance, he slithered silently up to Eve. Does God really love you? The serpent whispered. Does God really love you? The serpent whispered. If he does, why don't he let you eat the nice, juicy, delicious fruit? Poor you. Perhaps God doesn't want you to be happy. The snake's words hissed into her ears and sunk down into her heart like poison. Does God love me? Eve wondered. Suddenly, she didn't know anymore. Just trust me, the serpent. Just trust me, the serpent whispered. You don't need God. What did the serpent say to Eve? You don't need God. One small taste, that's all. And you will be happier than you could ever dream. Sit up, buddy. So Eve picked the fruit and ate some. And Adam ate some too. Who ate of the fruit? And how about Eve? Both of them. And a terrible lie came into the world. It would never leave. It would live on in every human heart, whispering to every one of God's children, God does not love me. But let's see what happens. Did everybody see the picture? Yeah? And it was a dream. Really, it was a nightmare. A dove flew from Adam's hand. A deer darted in the thicket. It was as if they were frightened by something. A chill was in the air. Something strange was happening. They had always been naked, but now they felt naked and wrong. And they didn't want anyone to see them, so they hid. Later that evening, as God was taking his walk, he called to them, Children, children, children. And God was looking for them. Usually, Adam and Eve loved to hear God's voice and would run to him. But this time, they ran away from him and hid in the shadows. Where are you? Children, God called. Hiding, Adam said. We are afraid of you. Did you eat of the fruit I told you not to eat? God asked them. Adam said, Eve made me do it. What have you done? God asked. Eve said, the serpent made me do it. And a terrible pain came into God's heart. His children hadn't just broken the one rule, they had broken God's heart. What did they break? They broke God's heart. And listen to this. His children, they had broken their wonderful relationship with him. And now he knew everything else would break. God's creation would start to unravel and come undone and go wrong. From now on, everything would die. What would die? Everything would die. Not just something, but everything would die. And listen to this. Even though it was all supposed to last forever. Did everybody see the picture? Now, everything was initially supposed to last forever because of the sin. Now, things were going to have to die. You see, sin had come into God's perfect world, and it would never leave. God's children would be always running away from Him and hiding in the dark. Their hearts would break now and never work properly again. God couldn't let His children live forever, not in such pain, not without Him. There was only one way to protect them. Listen to this. You will have to leave the garden now, God told His children, His eyes filling with tears. This is no longer your true home. It's not the place for you anymore. And here, listen to this last page on this side. Okay, ready? But before they left the garden, God made clothes for His children. What did God make? Clothes. To cover them. He gently clothed them, and then He sent them away on a long, long journey out of the garden and out of their home. Well, in another story, it would be over, and that would have been the end. But is that the end? No? All right. Listen to this. But not in this story. This is not the end. God loved His children too much to let the story end there. Even though He knew He would suffer, God had a plan, a magnificent dream. One day, He would get His children back. One day, He would make the world their perfect home again. And one day, He would wipe away every tear from their eyes. You see, no matter what, in spite of everything, God would love His children. Listen to this. Let's see if you can repeat this. With a never-stopping, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love. Can anybody repeat that? Okay, here it goes again. One day He would get His children back, and He would love them this way. With a never-stopping, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love. All right, repeat it after me. Never stopping, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love. Very good. And though they would forget Him and run from Him, deep in their hearts, God's children would miss Him always and long for Him. Lost children yearning for their home. Before they left the garden, God whispered a promise to Adam and Eve. It will not always be so. I will come to rescue you. And when I do, I'm going to do battle against the snake. I will get rid of the sin and the dark and the sadness you let in there. I'm coming back for you. And He would one day, God Himself would come. And here's the last page. Oh, that was the last page. So next Sunday, we're going to learn about a new beginning. Okay? What's for next Sunday? A new beginning. Okay, you may go to class. Thank you. You were great listeners.